The latest installation of the DreamPlay concert series and virtual art gallery will be shared later this week, and it promises to provide a refuge from the increasing chill of winter. It's called Sanctuary, and as always, it features compositions ranging from jazz to pop to classical, from guest composers to beloved songwriters to its resident brainchild, Glenn Buhr. Glenn joins us in the Classic 107 studios this morning to tell us more about Sanctuary. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning.
So tell us a bit about the musical array of this concert, because even just like scanning through the program, it is wide-ranging. Everything from Bruce Cockburn to Miles Davis inspirations to, of course, your own work. Tell us a bit about this musical collection.
Well, I think about it as our modern world, where we all experience so many different kinds of music, and you can, if you end up in the popular music world, you kind of end up stuck in your own genre because it's the only way to market it. So most of my life, I've tried to live beyond that because it's more interesting, and I think you're actually communicating to a modern audience who actually might have some Mozart in their record collection, but they also like Elton John and some Keith Jarrett jazz or whatever. I mean, that's the way I am. I know not everyone goes maybe that far. So what I try to do with my concerts is to go for a theme that might be like, if music has an effect on the human nervous system. That's it's really just a fact, and it really depends on what you're saying with the music as to what the effect is on your nervous system. So the theme of this one is Sanctuary, because I think in these times it's something we could use, because it's kind of a rough time. A lot of people are suffering because the changes in the world are happening so fast, and we're connected to them so immediately. That I think we do need a sanctuary from time to time, and I think music can provide that.
It's a wide-ranging net, this sanctuary that you've cast. Do you find that when you are talking with the different musicians who are involved, the different artists who are involved, even to the audience that attends one of these DreamPlay concerts, do you think that the meaning of sanctuary changes from audience member to audience member, or is it one sanctuary that you have, as you say, curated for everyone
and also created,
Yeah.
When I was curating the New Music Festival for the Winnipeg Symphony, we kind of made that point. We bring up people into an environment, and then it's our duty to kind of provide the art within that environment. So you're actually kind of affecting people. So with this one, we all lead such busy lives, and the influx of information just gets bigger and bigger as time passes. We're just access to all this information, and it tends to make us kind of confused. And so rather than just spinning a disc or listening to another hip-hop album on the record, or even going to a dance club, this is a place where you come to actually be calm and think and feel. And so I remember visiting Japan and studying about their various eras and the aesthetics that dominate various eras. There are always 2 or 3 words that they use, like it could be tranquility and joy. Like for this one, it's actually tranquility and joy.
Okay.
And also a bit of humor.
Okay. That's interesting that you describe it that way, because even as I'm like reading through these different titles that are making up this concert, I see Your Laments, for example.
Yes.
We have something that we have High and Lonesome, for instance, which is, I'm assuming, a reference to the Times Changed High and Lonesome Club, perhaps.
It is, because that's a song that I wrote quite a while ago. That the reason I put that in there is my mother passed a couple of years ago, and she had dementia for her last 5-6 years, and she liked me to sing her songs. And every time I played that one for her, she'd always say, "Oh, that went down well," So it's just one of those things I'm bringing up for the audience, because my mother, if it went down well with my mother, it'll go down well with them.
Okay, well, there we go. Well, but so to build on the laments, you've got the High and Lonesome sort of piece in there as well that builds on that sort of legacy of blues and shared sort of strife that exists as the ethos within that club. We have the Sachet Blues. These all strike me as very sort of melancholic pieces at their surface, and they aren't exactly titles of refuge. Where does the image of sanctuary fit into these sorts of lament? Or
well, that's a lovely question, and I actually like that, because a lot of people tell me that they certain kinds of my music, they really like this kind of music because it's quite beautiful, but it also makes me sad And that I don't want to make people sad. It's not why I'm doing it. So I realized that what I'm really doing is providing a catharsis, you know. And so if you think of some of the religious music and a lot of classical music too, there's quite a bit of lament in that music, and it's actually to bring this deep feeling that we have is that there's a cleansing also when you kind of bring it out and express it. So I didn't want to let that go because it's such an important emotion for every one of us.
Yeah, well, you talk about your mother's experience and your experience sharing music with her in those final years, and I wondered about that catharsis that you were just talking about. Is that experience with your mother something that you're drawing on to help to build something like this?
Oh, definitely. So my mother was a really good musician. She was never a professional or anything, but she had perfect pitch. She could sing anything. She always was singing a lot, anything that was on the radio, no matter what it was. She would sing along or harmonize with it. Beautiful voice. And she never believed me when I told her that, because as I grew up, that was in my ear all the time. And so when she moved into dementia, one of the only ways we can start communicate with her or bring her to a happy place was to actually play music for her. She listened to the recordings, yes, but she really loved it when I brought out my guitar and I played her a song. Or I played her even some of the instrumental music. It's, oh, you're playing jazz now. And she got excited about that, So it's, to me, we all have, I'm not saying problems in terms of health or anything like that, but we all have needs, and often it's something within us, a spiritual thing or an emotional thing that you actually, music has that magic that you can get there with music.
Yeah. We're coming into the holiday season. It can sometimes be a bit of a trickier time to process these sort of lower emotions, as the world seems to just be wanting to resonate joy in those spaces. Is it an intentional effort on your part to put a sanctuary, a catharsis, a space for those kind of laments or blues before the holiday season to try and provide a space to exercise those emotions?
Well, I have to say that there's only a couple of laments on this concert. Most of it is like it starts with Keith Jarrett's Lucky Southern, which is a real joyful piece that he composed. It's got that gospel, it's got upbeat, and it ends with Bruce Coburn's Joy Will Find a Way, which has he says it's a song about dying, but it's about the joy of living is what it's really about. And I think that's an important message I'm going to leave my audience with. But we do these concerts in the main hall of the art gallery where it's just a big open empty space. And often our audience is only 20, 30 in the audience, so I bring them very, very close to me. And the going to the symphony, going to the opera can be kind of difficult if you don't have a lot of money, because the ticket price is kind of high. So this is a pay what you want or pay what you can event. And we found that some people can't afford much, but they come anyway. They pay their $5. Some people don't pay anything, and that's just fine. But still, the average ticket price is about $25, $30, so there are some people that pay more. And I love that leveling of the class system because, like I said, everything I've talked about music so far should be available to everyone. So that's a really important part of what we do with our DreamPlay small concerts. And that's why we keep them small, because if the production costs get really high, we have to jack up the production price. So I love that challenge because as a producer, I do a lot of the work myself. I do the sound design and all that myself. I really like doing that. But rather than hiring people in so that you have to charge more ticket price, it's kind of do it yourself with really excellent musicians.
Right. This is the first concert in your 5-part DreamPlay concert series. Of course, you started the year by debuting your brand new works for violoncello, these new concertos. Where does Sanctuary fit into the overarching narrative of these concerts that you're about to be presenting through until next May? Or is there an overarching narrative throughout them?
The narrative is I connect with other artists who are doing what I consider important work that I want to bring forward, and then I can provide some musical background for them by hiring a band, whatever they need. For example, the last concert, it features someone who used to be a CBC radio producer, Jim Hiscott. But I also know of Jim as he's a button accordionist that studied a lot of folk music and a lot of music from all sorts of other cultures. We commissioned him in the New Music Festival back in the day, and I just really felt that personality like that should be brought forward into the community. So we're putting a band together, and then he's curating the concert. I also have a lot of other guest artists on my DreamPlay.ca website, which is an artist hub. And so I like to shine them up. For example, our second concert involves poet the Cremati poet and storyteller, Duncan Mercady. And I've done a fair bit of work with him, wrote some songs with him. But his classic poem is this epic about the city of Winnipeg called This City is Red. And we've performed that with music 3 or 4 times, and we've enjoyed it so much we've decided to film it. So we're bringing an audience in to film this epic poem while he speaks it, and we have the Broken Songs band supporting it. And that because we wanted to preserve that. Like Duncan is pushing toward retirement now, so we want to make sure we capture this on film before that happens. That sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. You've now been living here in the city of Winnipeg on a full-time basis for a few years now. As you've been sort of curating these concerts,
Yep.
what are you finding about how you're tailoring them between the different genres, the different experiences, the different artists that you incorporate into the DreamPlay sort of performance universe, so to speak?
Oh, it's really fun, actually. I was born here, so I'm a Winnipegger.
No, yeah, no, of
and
course.
also, I was teaching university out in Ontario for quite a while, but I was commuting. I always had a home here.
Sure.
So I know quite a few artists. And there's so much going on here and so many different genres. And I'm kind of the guy that comes in and kind of blends the genres, and look for people that are actually maybe crossover artists. Or what I found from the generation of musicians in the symphony or in the classical institutions, a generation later, after I was working with them, is that they're really, really open to this multi-genre, exploring other genres. Especially if it's creative, if they know the artist that's actually created the thing, they're part of the process, they get involved and we all bond, and it's like as if there's no such thing as genre, which actually, that's something I kind of believe in. I cross over everything, and I've studied really detailed the languages of Baroque and classical music, and it's there in the jazz, it's there in the pop music, it's there in the so-called folk music. So my theme is that all music is folk music because we're all people.
Yeah.
And we all have our own music, and some people favor some over the other. You come to my concerts, and there's one concert we're doing which favors the jazz world. It's Duke Ellington and Thelonious Monk, because those are genius composers from the 20th century. I don't think of it as a jazz piece. Yes, well, it is a jazz concert. I think of them as genius composers that need to be represented.